Hi guys, I'm back with another video. Today I'm going to be discussing how I graduated early and then also my experiences auditioning and applying for the schools that I did apply to. If you're newer to my channel, my name is Morgan. I recently graduated high school. I graduated a year early and I am going to be a dance major. Also, I recently got this plant and I named her Frankie. And she's here to cover that ugly sticker, even though I don't know how much of it it's actually covering. But anyway, I guess I'll just get right into it. To start off, I graduated 1 year early from high school because I went into high school with 3 high school credits because I tested into Algebra 1 for 7th grade and then took Geometry in 8th grade and Spanish 1 in 8th grade. So with those 3 credits, that kind of put me a step ahead my freshman year anyway. In 9th grade, I took Spanish 2 and Algebra 2 and then just like an English, a science, a history, and a couple electives. In 10th grade, I took Mandarin and pre-calculus and then another English, history, science, and a couple other electives as well because those are also something I had to kind of double up on in order to graduate early. And then the summer between my 10th grade year and my quote-unquote senior year, I guess, that summer I took an English. So I had all the credits I needed going into my senior year 1 year early except for English, so I just had to do English 3 over the summer, which sucked, but it was fine. Just for also everybody's information, I only took 4 APs throughout high school. 1 AP last year, which I took AP US History, and then this past year I took AP Psych, AP Gov, and AP Macro. I didn't take all AP classes because online it sucks. And I took 1 dual class this past semester. I just took college algebra in hopes of getting a college math credit and being able to get out of that in college. So I'll go through my audition and application experiences in the order that I did them. So if you didn't know, last summer I went and studied at the University of Utah's summer intensive for 4 weeks because it was a good summer program and I wanted to go away for the summer, and their summer program is really great, really reasonably priced as well. So if you're looking for a ballet summer program, theirs is really great. I wrote notes in my notebook because I don't want to forget anything. So when I was at Utah last summer, they had an audition for their BFA program for fall 2020, probably also for summer 2020, but I wasn't trying to do a summer semester. So while I was there, I just figured I'd knock my BFA audition out of the way for that school. So that audition was obviously very comfortable. I was there for 4 weeks prior. Most of the professors already knew our names, a lot of the kids in the summer program, so it was nice and it made me feel like I danced the best that I could have because I was comfortable. Even if that wasn't my experience, if I went and auditioned on their tour in January or whatnot, I still feel like my experience probably would have been as positive because the professors there are just really warm and I feel like they really want the best for you. So I would personally highly recommend that program if you're trying to go into ballet after college. Also, it's beautiful out there. For the actual audition for Utah, they had us do a full ballet class and then I think some point work, and then they had us learn this really short contemporary phrase, easy peasy. They're pretty forgiving in terms of test scores. I think my highest SAT score was a 1320. Not great. I kind of rushed into testing season, but anyways, they're pretty forgiving though in terms of, especially if you're pursuing an arts degree, you can kind of work with your given department, I believe, to figure things out if your test scores are lacking or whatnot. They're not the greatest for scholarships, but you just have to apply for them separately some of the time for Utah. The next audition I did was in October, and it was for George Mason University. The audition experience was super warm. Their current students are super involved with taking groups of audition people back and talking to them, and there was also an interactive thing for the parents. They had us do a ballet bar and then a couple combinations in the center taught by a different professor, and then they had us do a bunch of modern combinations, each of them taught by a different professor, so we could kind of get a feel for everybody. And then they had Susan Shields the director at the time teach like a longer across the floor that would be more like repertory, but it was really just along across the floor. On top of the class portion, when we were registering to audition, they had us send in video of a solo. So I just sent in like an old self-choreographed solo. I really enjoyed the George Mason audition, and it was really beautiful when I went up there too. Like, it was nice and autumny, and George Mason itself is, I believe, like 30 minutes from DC, if I'm not mistaken, so location wise it's pretty great. I believe their academic acceptance rate is rather high, just from what I've like Googled, but they give good scholarships, especially for dance. If you're pursuing dance, I can't speak for other majors, but it seems like if they want you, they will provide financial aid. I forgot to say, so obviously in Utah, I auditioned on campus. At George Mason, I also auditioned on campus. For Point Park, I didn't go all the way up to Pittsburgh. They toured to Atlanta, Georgia, which is closer to me, so I went to the Atlanta one. So obviously, your audition experience may vary depending on what location you audition at. To be honest, their audition was a little less organized than the rest of the auditions that I kind of experienced. There were lots of people, and it was hosted by, I believe, just a performing arts high school, or the performing arts division of a high school, and it was a bunch of dancers crammed in a really small room, and the professors didn't really seem like they gelled very well together, which is something that I kind of noted, but that's just something that I was feeling. The professors themselves, individually, I really enjoyed. I really loved the ballet professor. The jazz lady seemed really cool as well, even though I think she was their hip-hop teacher representing their jazz department. I will say for Point Park, even if you're not looking to have a concentration in one of those three, like two of those three, jazz, ballet, and modern, you do all of them at the audition. At my audition, they had us jazz improv. My jazz situation throughout the past year has been something less than ideal, I guess I'll just say. Frankly, I didn't feel prepared at all, and I left the audition feeling like, well, I hope they don't base my admittance off of like, because I'm not even trying to be a jazz concentration, but if I was really bad at jazz, like I hope they still let me into their program. And it ended up being fine, but yeah, I was really sad about how poorly I did for jazz. But anyway, Point Park gives the best scholarships, the most money. After one school that was the most affordable for me, I think Point Park was next. I think their tuition and everything is on the lower side anyway, but they give really great scholarships. So, and they have all sorts of arts programs, so even if you're not trying to do dance, if you're trying to do theater, or if you're trying to do any kind of music, I would look into Point Park because they give great academic scholarships. Like, you heard my test scores, like pretty mediocre. I still got academic money, and they gave really great artistic scholarships as well. So definitely look into that. I believe everyone that I've talked to that auditioned for Point Park has gotten scholarships. So if you're looking for an affordable option that may be out of state for you, just apply. They tour to quite a few cities, so if they have an audition near you, just go, because they were like right above my safety school, I guess. So yes, that was my experience with Point Park. I think my next audition was for the University of South Florida. That was my safety school. Like, if I literally get in nowhere else, and if I get into USF, then I'll go there. I kind of had told myself, like, I'm not going to USF just because the last thing I want to do right now is stay in state. That's just my like personal like journey. I'm not knocking on USF at all. I have friends going there. It's a great school. It's just in state, and my brother's going there, so like I wouldn't want to ruin his life by going there. But also their dance program just isn't really what I'm looking for at the moment. But because I live in Florida and I got Florida Bright Futures, I would have come out of college without debt to very little debt. It was a very low risk school for me. I'm not going there, but I did do their audition. It was a ballet class and then a modern class. The audition was in my city, so they had like toured to us, and honestly, it was I I do believe if you audition on campus, you have to do a solo live, but they just didn't do that on my audition. The audition was so small, it was kind of uncomfortable. The professors seemed cool, but it was one of those things where I think I went into the audition taking it seriously, but I knew subconsciously that I didn't want to go there. So yes, that was my experience for USF. My next audition was in January. It was my USC Kaufman audition. USC Kaufman is where you send in like a portfolio of yourself with like photos, videos, some essays, and then they like invite a portion of the people who applied to live audition in California. So I did get a live audition, which was super exciting. That's why I had gone to LA back in January. I can honestly say that that was one of the highlights of my year so far. Their audition really, I was so nervous because that was my dream school. And obviously the stakes are high, like you fly out to LA to audition. So it feels like the stakes are very high, but the faculty does a great job of making you feel super comfortable, treating you like human beings. I think that was my favorite part of that audition experience, is they treat you like a person and not like a number or like a piece of paper. They have like a pizza social with like the people who are auditioning and current students, so you get to talk to current students, eat pizza with them, meet who you'll be auditioning with the next day. It just helps kind of ease the tension, but it's all very exciting. That school is absolutely stunning. I had thought that you had to have USC grades to go for dance as well, but it's kind of a collaborative admissions experience with the dance department and just USC admissions. So if you are a fantastic dancer and you have like average grades and the dance department wants you, then you'll get into USC. But they obviously can't take you if you're failing out of high school, but you don't have to have like the most incredible grades in order to get in. So if you were wondering, which I was wondering, I had gone to a event in Miami that they had hosted, like an outreach event, and that question was answered there. So I thought I would tell you guys that tidbit. But yeah, love all the professors, love the campus, love California, love all the current students. They're fantastic, beautiful. You get to watch some rehearsals if you're lucky, like the night before. They like let you into the rooms and you can watch, and it's like, it's all very dreamy. For my live audition, they had us do ballet, contemporary, hip-hop, and then they have a nice lunch where you sit with current students and your parents and you talk, and you get assigned a solo time, a solo slot when you get your live audition. They're really thoughtful about it too, like scheduling people who are from out of state who need to catch a plane earlier on. So you get your solo interview time, and then at your time you go into the room and you sit down and you talk to all the professors, and then they're like, are you ready? And then you get up and you go waddle back and do your solo. Their audition process seems super organized, which I really enjoy. And I loved how eager the professors were to listen and to hear more about each dancer. I just wanted to freeze frame right here and share my solo audition experience because I think it might be useful to some of you who may live audition and end up in the same situation that I was. I finished doing my solo the first time, and all of the professors were kind of talking amongst each other. And the vice dean asked me, Morgan, did you feel comfortable improving? To which I responded, yes, of course. To which she asked, maybe incorporating some of the elements of the hip-hop phrase that you learned earlier today? To which I responded with, yeah, totally. Freaking out inside my head. So, I just wanted to share that. And say, be ready to do anything when you go in for that solo. Best of luck, friends. But yes, that was the experience for that. They even do stuff with like your parents, so like your parents get a tour of like, I forgot where it was. They like take your parents while you're taking classes. Like it all feels like a very dreamy masterclass experience. I would highly recommend just applying there just to see if you could get a live audition just for that experience. But also, you never know. My next audition was for SUNY Purchase, and I flew up to New York right as everything was starting to come crumbling down because of COVID. it was kind of scary. Purchase's audition was bizarre. There I think were 80 people in total at that audition, and I did audition on campus if it wasn't already clear. And there were 80 people, but then they split us into 2 groups, so they had like 2 rooms going at the same time with like 2 different groups of professors. We had a ballet class, like a full ballet class, and then a contemporary class, and then there was a break, and then they put up a list of who's called back for solos, and you have your order and you just have to be ready to go into the room when they say go. You go in, you hand the person your music, and then you go and dance, and then you walk out. I will say the girl before me who was auditioning at Purchase, who did her solo before me, she came out and she seemed really flustered, and she was like, what did she say? You just go in and you dance and they don't talk to you at all. And I, of course, was like outside the door like just coming off the heels of USC, I was like, oh, okay. Because I kind of got those vibes from the professors anyway, like they were just like there to watch you dance and then like go home, which is fine if that's like that kind of program that you're looking for, that's like business. I like walked in there, handed her my music, and went back to start. I like went back to the back of the room because that's where my solo started. And then one of the professors was like, hey Morgan, would you come and talk to us? And I was like, yeah, totally. And then they asked me why I wanted to go to Purchase. The night before, I was like panicking, as you do. I was panicking about the interview portion, and I was like, I wonder what they're gonna ask me. And then I was like, oh, they're definitely gonna ask me, like, if they're gonna ask me anything, they're gonna ask me, why do you want to go to Purchase? So I kind of prepared what I was gonna say in my head, just like kind of going over different points. So of course I get up there, and he's like, why do you want to go to Purchase College? And so I had my little like talking points prepared in my head. I said my stuff, and they were like, okay. And then they were looking at my resume, reading my stuff, and then they saw who choreographed my solo, who is a Purchase alum, and they were like, oh, you know her, tell her hi. And I was like, yes, I will. And then they were like, okay, go on. The whole experience was just very bizarre, but it was okay. I think that was the worst time I've done that solo. Yeah, I think it's because I was nervous and I felt very judged in that moment. Not that you don't feel judged in auditions anyway, but I think, again, coming off the heels of USC Kaufman, where it felt very supportive, I felt like eyes of hawks were watching me at Purchase. So I did my solo rather poorly, but then I finished and they were like, thank you, and then you go grab your music and you walk out. And then I flew home and then everything shut down, so that was cute. Purchase was actually my last audition. No, it wasn't. For some reason I got it mixed up in my head. Juilliard was gonna be my last audition, but then I switched the dates around. But anyway, so I auditioned for Juilliard between USC and Purchase. I went to Miami for this audition because they toured to Miami, and what an experience this was. Wow. I can honestly say there was no audition like the Juilliard audition, not in a good way. So if you're not familiar, for the Juilliard Dance Division audition, you have ballet, and then they do a cut, and then they have modern, and then they do a cut, and then you have solos, and then they do a cut, and then you learn rep, and then they do a cut, and then you have improv, and then they do a cut, and then they interview you, and then you go home if you make it to the end. And on their website it says like, be prepared, like basically the Juilliard staff can like ask you to leave like in the middle of class if you seem like a threat to yourself. It says something like that, like if you seem like you would be putting yourself or others in danger by being there. So the whole time I was terrified that like throughout the ballet portion someone would just come up and tap me on the shoulder and be like, it's time to go. No, you gotta go. I just wanted to share some other things about this audition that I thought were funny. First of all, after each round, you have to basically thank all the teachers for their time and almost prepare to bid them farewell because you don't know the next time you're gonna see them again. But also after each round, they send you in this dressing room and they have this administrative person come in with a clipboard like 10 minutes later and read off a bunch of numbers. And if your number isn't on the list, then you're free to go.
And it's just so brutal.
How awful and embarrassing. I made it through the ballet portion, and then after the modern portion, they cut me. So I kind of prepared myself to get cut because like the people who I was with, like they were really good, and I was like, oh. So I think we started out with 30, and then they cut it down to, I want to say it was like 9 people. And then I think they cut the 9 down to 6 after the modern portion, and then they kept that 6 till the end. The only reason I know that is because one of the friends that I made at that audition, funnily enough, had filmed me in. But anyway, so I guess that's where I'll be starting the portion of this video where I tell you where I got in and where I didn't get in. Obviously, I didn't get into Juilliard, got cut after modern. I hope I don't sound bitter when I say that because I'm not bitter. I think it was a funny growing experience for sure. Definitely the most terrified I've ever been in an audition, like, period. In ballet, like, everyone was shaking, everyone was so scared. Yeah. If you're gonna go audition for Juilliard, just be prepared. I was determined to not be the person where if I got cut to, like, start crying, and I didn't start crying until I got in the car. I got into Utah, I got into George Mason, I got into Purchase, I got into Point Park, I got into USF, and I'm still currently on the wait list for USC Kaufman. I know a couple other people who were also waitlisted for USC, so I'm not really sure what they're doing there because I'm still technically waitlisted. They never gave me a definite yes or no. So if anyone from USC happens to be watching this, if you could let me know if it's a no. That would be great, just so I could have a little bit of closure with the situation. That's all I ask. That's all I'm ever going to ask. So that is where I got in and didn't get in. Overall, it's been a gigantic learning experience for sure. Like, by the end of audition season, I felt like, first of all, I'm ready to be done, but I also had kind of learned how to audition a little bit better because normally I'm useless in auditions. Okay, my camera ran out of storage, so I'm gonna wrap this up. So if you have any questions about like the nitty-gritty like details, I believe my weighted GPA was a 4.2 when I applied for everything, and unweighted was like a 3.9, but I can't remember. I think I've blocked it out of my brain, but yes, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments and I will definitely get back to you because I wish there was a video talking about people's auditioning experiences when I was applying, because I was looking for any kind of answers to like help lead me in the right direction, which I guess also leads me to where I will be studying in the fall. If you saw my last video, kind of a spoiler, I didn't say it, but I said I would be moving to Virginia. So yes, I will be attending George Mason University. I'm super excited. I'm, like I mentioned in my last video, really nervous, but yeah, I'm excited to live in a new place and be studying at Mason. So yes, that's all I have to say. If you got this far, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!